From sudden losses of control and collapsing structures to accidents that came within mere centimeters of disaster, everything in the following video happened so fast that nobody had time to react. Moments captured just seconds before catastrophe struck. Powerful storm winds caused the shipping container to lose balance and topple over with terrifying speed, crushing the parked SUV while people nearby watched in shock. It feels as though the distance between safety and disaster can sometimes be only a few footsteps. A catastrophic landslide surged through the city of Atami like a giant river of mud, sweeping away homes and turning entire streets into scenes of destruction and chaos. Everything unfolded too quickly when the vehicle suddenly rolled backward. While the man was still working underneath it, though, fortunately no one was injured.
You guys got two in there! You got two in there!
Only seconds after the cyclist suddenly crossed the road, the truck skidded sideways through a cloud of white smoke, spinning nearly 180 degrees as though it had completely lost momentum.
Lo tengo grabado.
Everything spiraled out of control extremely quickly when two cows suddenly charged into the restaurant, smashing through furniture and sending customers running in panic. Amid the violent muddy waters in New Hampshire, the entire house slowly separated from the ground before being swept into the river, as though it had never stood there at all. Without any warning signs, the sinkhole suddenly widened beside the road and swallowed multiple parked cars before anyone had time to react. Against the hilly backdrop of Shimla, the building suddenly lost structural stability and collapsed into a cloud of thick dust, leaving nearby people stunned in silence. The vehicle suddenly lost control inside the supermarket parking garage, burst through the second floor, and crashed down just above the terrified crowd running below. While repairing an air conditioner on the rooftop, the worker suddenly lost balance and fell, leaving everyone nearby watching in shock. Within only a few short seconds, one misplaced step at the doorway caused the woman to lose her balance and crash hard onto the walkway before she could react. It felt as though the vendor was trying to hold on to the very last thing still standing against the storm, as the tent kept stretching violently in the wind and nearly getting ripped away. The ground lost stability far too quickly after prolonged water buildup, causing the mountainside to crack apart and drag the Hongqi Bridge down in a cloud of dust and debris. Nobody understood what was happening when a tire suddenly came flying in from the road, crashing violently into the store and causing everyone inside to jump up in panic. It felt as though the motorcyclist had no idea danger was rapidly approaching from behind until the car came so close it nearly dragged them into a serious crash. The man panicked and ran as the dog behind him kept chasing relentlessly, creating a scene that felt both tense and oddly funny at the same time. After prolonged heavy rainfall, the giant marble quarry suddenly lost stability and collapsed, creating a Jendong-filled scene with thick dust covering the entire area. Everything spiraled out of control as an earthquake and a super typhoon devastated the area, at the same time collapsing homes amid violent winds, tremors, and panicked screams. Along the river in Timar, Hungary, the boat suddenly slammed into the cable ferry and was violently thrown upward, sending water exploding into chaos around it. On the slippery road surface, the car suddenly lost traction and spun across the lanes, leading to a collision that nobody had time to avoid. The truck began rolling down the slope without any way to stop before slamming violently into the gate of the house below. Sometimes it feels like just one careless step is enough to throw everything into chaos as the woman suddenly tripped and fell right outside her own home.
In water, there's another.
Everything turned terrifying when the fire tornado began spinning violently and moving directly toward the vehicle, dragging black smoke and spiraling embers through the air. It felt as though everything was completely normal until the moment the house suddenly collapsed, covering the road in dust and rubble. Nobody could react in time when two wheels suddenly detached from the tanker truck while it was moving, rolling freely across the road and creating a dangerous situation for nearby vehicles. Everything happened too fast when the unmanned truck suddenly rolled freely downhill and crashed directly into a house before anyone could stop it. On the snow-covered slope, the vehicle attempting to climb uphill suddenly lost traction, slid backward, and slammed violently into the roadside wall. Floodwaters rushed through the streets of Omaha with such force that a trash bin spun endlessly in the current as though the entire road was being dragged away.
Oh my God.
Oh, guys, we're gonna get some. Whoa!
Back it up, back it up.
Within only moments of violent shaking, numerous buildings were destroyed as the ground continued rocking without pause. Everything happened extremely fast when the Hino truck came speeding forward, crashed into a car, swept away two street vendor carts, and finally stopped abruptly in front of the pharmacy. Along the road in Klagenfurt, the truck suddenly veered off course and smashed into a large traffic sign, turning the scene chaotic and injuring two people. It felt like he thought he was about to pull off an impressive move until the crash left both the vehicle and his pride stuck right in front of the garage. From a distance, the massive web looked like a ghostly blanket draped across the fence, while beneath it, countless caterpillars quietly crawled and spun even more layers of silk. As strong winds swept through the area, construction barriers were repeatedly lifted from the ground and blown across the intersection as though the entire road had been taken over by the storm.
La combi con todos esos escombros que está arrastrando. A ver, asómate a ver si no se empieza a meter al estacionamiento.
The force of the massive waves kept smashing against the foundation until the boathouse at Sur could no longer hold together and began collapsing into the sea. It felt as though the accident could have become far more serious when the excavator lost control during work, but the man still managed to escape safely in time. It felt as though the driver tried desperately to keep the vehicle under control, but the steep slope and overwhelming momentum ultimately sent it crashing straight into the wall ahead. It felt as though the street had remained perfectly peaceful until the moment a massive tree branch suddenly collapsed and shattered the calm among passing pedestrians. Amid heavy traffic, the semi-truck suddenly slammed into a roadside light pole, bringing the entire structure crashing down and instantly throwing traffic into chaos.
God, I can't see anything. I caught that on video. Ah!
The moment the 7.3 magnitude earthquake shook the island nation of Vanuatu, the ground rocked so violently it felt as though the entire Pacific region had awakened.
Watch out!
The rushing, muddy floodwater repeatedly shoved the truck off balance, while the driver fought desperately to regain control in the middle of the chaos. Amid violently churning seas, the surfer paddled straight into a towering wall of water before riding the massive wave like a streak cutting through the ocean's raw power. Everything unfolded within seconds when the vehicle lost control and crashed through the office area, sending people nearby running in panic. Everything happened extremely fast when the vehicle moved forward with the crane still raised, causing a violent collision that brought the gate crashing down in chaos. The man suddenly slipped beside the swimming pool and crashed hard onto the wet tiles, startling everyone nearby. The tiny bird curled itself tightly against the winter cold, using its soft wings to cover its face, as though trying to preserve the last bit of warmth in the snow. It felt as though the storm was lifting everything off the street when even a trash bin was blown away by the violent winds amid heavy rain and constant howling gusts. The raging floodwaters struck with overwhelming force, tearing away the entire bridge in Sioux Falls and pulling it into the violent current.
She broke off. Holy cow.
In an instant, the pickup spun sideways out of control on an Iowa interstate, sliding dangerously close to two men who could only stand frozen in shock.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
The massive truck sped down the Houston highway, and within seconds, the overhead sign shook violently before being torn completely from its steel frame. The bus suddenly veered close to the sidewalk and struck the girl walking beside it, leaving bystanders barely enough time to comprehend what had happened. Everything unfolded too quickly as the crashing car spun wildly across the road, skimming past the family at a distance that felt almost impossible to believe. Everything happened extremely fast when the truck's oversized cargo became caught beneath the barrier, triggering a violent jolt that flipped the vehicle over amid the sound of screeching metal. Halo-like clouds appeared above Moscow, making the sky look as though it belonged in a science fiction movie. A massive dust devil spun violently across the highway, ripping dry bushes from the ground and hurling them chaotically across the road in a scene of complete disorder. It felt as though the ancient coastline was slowly reshaping itself over time as the cliffs along the Jurassic coast quietly collapsed amid crashing waves and the roar of breaking stone.
Oh my god. Oh wow.
Within moments, storm surge water crashed into the restaurant with tremendous force, sweeping away furniture and throwing everything into chaos.
It's going.
It felt as though nobody understood what had happened until the Nissan suddenly veered off course and ended with a violent crash into the utility pole ahead.
Ever seen hell this big? It's just going down harder and harder.
Everything happened extremely fast when the shipping container on the trailer lost balance and toppled over while the truck was speeding along, causing severe congestion near Port Klang. The car suddenly crashed straight into the charging station, knocking over rows of electric scooters amid loud impacts and complete chaos. Everything became chaotic within seconds when the car lost control and slammed directly into the wall, forcing nearby people to dodge away in panic. It felt as though this vehicle was only moments away from plunging over the edge when the sudden slide turned the entire situation unbearably tense. The moment rocks began falling from the cliff, a passing car was struck and one person was injured, though the vehicle narrowly avoided even larger boulders by mere inches. The truck suddenly lost balance and tipped over at the exact moment the nearby car had just passed by, creating a moment chilling to everyone who witnessed it. Moments after the truck passed by the road suddenly collapsed into a massive sinkhole, dragging the car behind it straight down in a scene of complete panic. The woman was standing in the kitchen when the small dog suddenly ran behind her, causing her to turn too quickly and slip onto the floor. It felt like there was a strange trust between the tiny bird and the buffalo as it calmly built its nest right on top of the giant animal without the slightest fear. An entire flock of flamingos covered the waters of Actau, their soft pink colors blending with slow, graceful movements to create a living painting in nature.
A whole house, bro.
Do you think this is a sudden incident or has a prior cause? Leave a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe to watch more dramatic situations. Everything happens rapidly as lightning repeatedly strikes the western area of Orlando International Airport, each flash following another, making the space seem to shake. The motorcyclist only realized the danger when the large vehicle had already slid very close, and instinct helped him leave the bike before everything collapsed. Everything unfolded too fast when a massive section of wall suddenly collapsed onto the road and crushed the moving car below before the driver could react. There is an irony when right in front of the repair shop, the collision occurs and leads to many other vehicles being damaged, as if everything happens in the one place no one expects. After the collision, the riderless motorcycle continued speeding down the street on its own, creating a scene that felt both surreal and terrifying for everyone nearby. Amid Bangkok's crowded traffic, the motorcyclist only narrowly swerved aside as the bus came rushing forward at a speed that made the entire moment feel breathless. It felt as though the man had taken just one more step before the vehicle sped across the exact spot where he had been standing moments earlier. The bus came barreling downhill as though there was no way to stop it, skimming past two girls in a moment that left everyone nearby frozen in shock. Some mistakes last less than a second, yet are enough to turn an ordinary action into a moment that man probably never wants to relive again. Amid the violent shaking in Malaysia, the residential building suddenly crumbled floor by floor, covering the neighborhood in dust and panic. Everything happened so fast that pedestrians barely had time to react when the balcony collapsed and debris exploded outward in every direction. Everything happened too quickly when the truck began sliding on the ice, spinning sideways across multiple lanes and leaving the drivers ahead with nothing but panic and instinctive reactions. The woman had only just passed the roadside when a powerful gust suddenly snapped the massive tree behind her, leaving behind a near-death moment, chilling enough to shock anyone who saw it.
Live footage. I might get out of here. Guys, this house is about to fall on that, it feels like.
The woman barely had time to abandon her car and run as the out-of-control truck skidded uncontrollably across the rain-soaked road. Everything unfolded too fast when the SUV started spinning across the icy road and slammed hard into the police vehicle before the driver could react.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
The tuk-tuk suddenly began rolling toward the water's edge, accidentally knocking the fisherman into the river in a moment of complete chaos and surprise.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
It felt like the staircase was completely against him, because every attempt to stand up and walk inside ended with yet another painful fall. Thousands of birds continuously spread their wings and landed across Poyang Lake to escape the cold, creating a scene so massive it nearly covered the entire field. Everything happened too quickly when concrete exposed to extreme heat suddenly exploded directly in front of the speeding vehicle, leaving the driver only a split second to react. Before the major storm had even passed, electrical systems began exploding one after another, sending blinding sparks into the air and turning the scene tense within seconds.
I'm gonna try to give you guys the best angle for this, but I think I'm risking my
Amid the crowded streets of Tel Aviv, two people barely managed to dive aside when missile debris suddenly crashed down right behind them, creating a moment that would make anyone's heart stop. In an instant, the pickup veered wildly off course, racing past the ice cream shop and sliding beside parked cars, sending the entire area into panic. The car suddenly crashed straight into the store, scattering merchandise and debris everywhere in a moment of total chaos. Everything happened too quickly when the truck veered off course and slammed violently into a bus stop in South Australia, sending debris flying across the area. It felt like the workout had gone out of control from the very beginning as the stacked platforms failed to hold steady beneath the weight of the barbell on his shoulders. It felt as though the collision came completely out of nowhere for the family inside, as the vehicle crashed into the house before the driver immediately fled the scene. Everything happened almost instantly when debris came crashing into Donetsk Stadium, while the young woman narrowly escaped the area by mere inches. While messing around with a toilet plunger near the elevator, the man accidentally ripped an entire marble wall panel loose instantly, making the situation far worse.
Число А называется пределом числовой последовательности xn, тогда и только тогда, когда для любого сколь угодно малого положительного эпсилон существует такой номер.
It felt as though this goat was truly enjoying its meal in its own unique way, licking its food enthusiastically while making one hilarious facial expression after another.
Is your dog like you? Beatrice. Hey, B? B, I think your nose is stuck. I believe your nose is stuck on the top rail. Okay, looks comfortable.
Massive hail poured down over Austin during the severe storm, filling entire neighborhoods with non-stop crashing sounds within just minutes. Just a few seconds of impatience turned everything tense when the driver ran the red light and cut directly across moving traffic at the intersection.
Start recording. Oh my God.
Amid snow-covered streets, the tram suddenly derailed at the intersection and slammed into two cars, creating chaos in the middle of the winter city. It felt as though the quiet slope had suddenly become deadly when the car silently slid downhill while the driver seemed powerless to stop it. Everything ended in chaos when the drunk driver lost control of the high-speed sports car and caused a devastating crash within seconds.
Oh no, I can't play on that way. It's going to live on the outside. It's moving.
It felt as though one more second would have changed everything when the fleeing vehicle narrowly skimmed past the front of the truck in a heart-stopping moment.
Oh Lord, I see you.
Oh, I'm about to hit him! I hit one! I hit one! Ah! Another one! Another one! Another one!
The vehicle suddenly crashed directly into the lobby of the Maryland Police Station, shattering glass and shaking the entire area within seconds. The girl had barely entered the store when she tripped on the step, lunged forward, and slammed her head directly into the glass door in a shocking moment. It felt as though the entire pod of dolphins was enjoying its own joyful moment, as more than a dozen of them swam, leaped, and played endlessly across the water. The ostrich quickly shoved its enormous head inside the vehicle the moment it spotted food, leaving everyone inside laughing in complete surprise.
To go this alcohol, that would be really. I think you should.
Everything happened too fast when the truck suddenly lost control and slid dangerously close to a crowd of people, creating a chaotic moment filled with screams and desperate attempts to dodge away. The vehicle began slipping out of its lane on the frozen roadway before spiraling completely out of control and crashing amid the bitter winter weather. The truck suddenly fell directly above the patrol car, but the officer narrowly escaped only moments before the terrifying impact. It felt like just a few seconds of distraction was enough for disaster when the curious child ran toward the stack of beer and shattered a glass bottle across the floor. The kind-hearted woman stepped forward to pick up a piece of cardboard lying in the street, but the moment she bent down, she suddenly fell straight into the uncovered drain beneath it. The situation became almost unbelievable when the woman crashed her car through the liquor store, then calmly walked around the wreckage shopping as though nothing had happened. It felt as though the ocean was hiding a completely different world beneath the sea, where every movement appeared peaceful, graceful, and strangely magical.
Creepy stuff.
It almost felt like the dead branch was defying gravity itself, as it hung suspended in midair in a way that left everyone staring in curiosity.
Right in the middle of the air. It's not attached to wires or anything like that.
It felt as though this tree was glowing from within as bright orange flames climbed higher and consumed each dry branch one after another. The man stepped off of the dock onto the frozen lake, but the ice suddenly shattered beneath his feet, sending him plunging straight into the freezing water. How many spiders do you think are hiding inside this dense web? Because the longer you stare at it, the more unsettling it becomes. Hundreds of millipedes move tightly packed together across the red earth of Trinidad Station, making the ground look like a living river crawling through the desert. In the crystal clear, shallow waters of the Great Barrier Reef, the strange creature drifted slowly like an ocean ghost, both beautiful and endlessly fascinating. Amid fast-moving traffic on the highway, a tire suddenly detached from the truck and flew directly into the vehicle ahead, creating a heart-stopping moment that lasted only seconds. The desperate attempt to avoid a fast-approaching car caused the motorcyclist to lose control and flip over during the sudden turn. Everything unfolded too quickly when the car made a sudden U-turn and lost control, slamming violently into a streetlight while nearby drivers swerved away in panic. Each gentle tap of its feet against the leaf made the scene resemble a strange embroidery performance created by a tiny creature. It felt as though the entire atmosphere was drifting along